All right, 3 people. Hey, Mark, the one. Bring this off a little bit. I may not be able to stay on very long because I have a conference call at 5 and I have to sort of get ready for it. But other than that, we can talk. Let's just go through. Every stock in our portfolio is down, and maybe it's just time to look at stocks that don't have a low float. ZJYL is down 73 cents at 650. DBMM is down, but it's still up for the last couple of weeks. Logic is down to 0.027. HNRC is under 2 cents. CAUD is at $1. And let's see what else is there to look at. Finger was up earlier, but it's down now 280. CRTD, it's gonna be green today. The one green today is CRTD. GDC 191. Oh, there it is. GTII 27 cents, down a little bit. And the one that might actually move that's up, was up, is TELO, TELO. It's 893. And that's about it for stocks today. Hammett's meeting with the guys I met with on the Trento mine. So I don't know if he's going to come in or not. He may, but my guess is he won't come in before I have to sign off. So we'll, hey, KYP. Hey, KYP. What's this? Next bridge letters. Hey, Stony, I'm gonna put you in timeout, and that is one step away from banning you. You can change your tone, and I'm glad to have you here. But you literally, you're acting as if I didn't answer. Because Tony, that's a BS comment right there. So see you for a few minutes. Oh, where can I find those, Red Pepper? Where I'll read them right now. GTII dividend news today. Maybe that's what Stoney was talking about, John. I mean, it's good to know that people can look up news without me, but I guess it's not comforting to know that I didn't look it up. So let me look it up. I don't see any news on it. Let's see, there might be a filing. Public float, 98 million. Restricted shares, 203 million. Total shares outstanding, 310. David Reichman owns 60 million shares. Kathy Griffin owns 20 million. Frank Benintendo owns 8 million. Donald Gilbert owns 8 million. And the Hans and Rosie Epstein Memorial Committee owns 20 million. That seems to be the news today that I see. I don't see any other news. So I must be looking in the wrong place, but there's no reason why it wouldn't show up where I'm looking if there really was news. I missed it, John. Ace did a video. Yeah, all right. Well, he's just talking to Ham, and Ham's talking with two guys as well. So follow Ace. I don't have any clue on the dividend. I have no clue. Well, then, Randy, there'll be no squeeze in the stock. There'll be no squeeze in the stock. All right, somebody just sent it to me. Thank you very much, whoever did that. That is awesome. It's on the newswire. It's not on OTC Next. And that story didn't come up. That story didn't come up. It says Global Newswire. Doesn't come up on my screen. All right. Anyway, so there's Ace. Follow Ace on it, and I'm sure he's got the scoop. Thank you, Max. That's awesome. Well, you guys don't understand the purpose of the dividend, but it's good you'll get your dividend. It'll be at 20 cents. That means the company perhaps is loosening the requirements. So there'll be no short squeeze. That's how I react to it on first examination. You're catching me unaware, so I don't know what's happening. I would check with Ace. Ace probably knows what's going on, and I'm sure he'll be live later today. But I don't take that as good news. But you guys want your stock, and that's an urgent thing to have, because then you get your dividend. But it means no squeeze to me. Now there's other things going on that I think could cause optimism in GTII. I'm just not ready to join in on that until we have something that can bust the shorts. And some people believe there is no short. So, no, it's not to force the shorts to settle. If GTII is issuing the dividends to the brokerage houses, there's nothing that will cause the shorts to settle. It'll just be another IOU. Now, that's my reaction. I haven't seen the news story. I tried to pull it up. It won't come up on my screen. It's not on OTC markets. I don't know where it is. Guys, the dividend was a restricted share that you had to go through the transfer agent. What I just understand from the headline is they're just going to dump the shares out there. That won't cause a squeeze. That'll just increase the number of counterfeit shares by 10%. And then there's those out there who say there aren't any counterfeit shares, so it won't prove a thing. So I don't see it as a tremendously positive move. How do you define real short shareholders, Randy? The problem is everyone believes in their heart, believes there's integrity in this brokerage system. There isn't. The geniuses, a handful on Wall Street, are trying to make an analog to the fractional reserve banking system, where you have to increase debt, you have to issue more debt, and you have to have an ever expanding money supply for this economic model to work. Well, they're trying to do that with stocks. And so they, in their wisdom, keep issuing further IOUs, creating ever growing false shares. This is my opinion. Never heard it expressed anywhere else. So if I'm wrong, you're looking at the idiot with the idea. But the system stuffs your accounts with IOUs. Now, there's people like Amex guys who say, oh, baloney. FINRA puts out data, but it's incomplete. FINRA consciously enters into the data game knowing that it's going to be impossible to learn anything from the data they give you. Okay. And that person further says, there's no short position. It doesn't exist. If it does, it's maybe small. Well, how do you prove that? It's just made up. Well, there's systems in place. Are there? So anyway, I'm not picking on him. That is a very strong view out there that the self-regulatory organizations and brokerage firms would never let an IOU exist in your account for very long. They'll settle the trade, doesn't count delivery. I think that whole argument is hogwash. Hogwash. I don't have it right here. I could show it to you. The article on the Anson funds. It's hundreds of billions and trillions of shares that are sold into existence, just like the Fed prints money into existence, just like the Treasury issues debt and the Fed buys it and it puts money into existence, just like the banks with credit cards create money out of thin air and put it into existence, just like banks, when they issue mortgages, they lend money out of thin air, creating money into existence, and it's just black and white electronic numbers in your account. That's what the banksters are doing with your brokerage accounts. But it's hard to believe because the shorts keep winning. Everything we do, whenever we get some purchase on an upward price in the stock, they pay off somebody, a CEO, a representative, somebody to step in front of us and trumpet a new story. And then we move our shares and we get impatient. Why isn't it happening? When's it going to happen? And then just constant selling, because they create shares literally greater than 1 for 10 in the banking system. I would argue in the banking system, there's one real dollar for every $100 out there right now. But you can't prove it. And in fact, they're going to start taking cash out of the system. So there can never be a run on a bank for physical cash. Maybe there's other ways there can be a run, but not for cash. That's what they did with certificates. They got rid of physical certificates. So I've got one here for NextBridge, but you and a group of you are not going to cause a run on the brokerage firms for physical certificates. They're going to stall, they're going to lie, and then eventually they're going to get GTII just to issue the stock. That's my first read on it. I think it's a bust, but I'm anybody's welcome that has a different point of view to come on, and we'll screen you because it's out of the blue information. Mike's not working. Hello? Hello? Looks like the mic is working. Half the volume. Half the volume. Isn't that a good thing? Wasn't I talking too loudly before? Let me do it like that. I don't know how to make it louder. Um, chill, Will. Hey, Will, chill. Chill, Will. Well, the BS can go on a lot longer. It can go on a lot longer. All right, let me see what people are saying about the dividend because obviously I got it wrong. Oh, received income. Oh boy. That's tough. Whatever the 1099 says is what the IRS is going to receive. So that would be the simplistic answer. Report whatever the 1099 says. Or dividend is not a 1099. A dividend is a something. But report whatever that says. To me, the stock didn't trade last year. I think you could have an argument. I'm not a CPA and I'm not giving it accounting advice. You'd have an argument that distribution was without tax consequence. Now, then the onus would be on you if you sell the stock that your cost basis, if you said that, is zero. I can make a real argument that the cost basis is zero and there was no value to you in 2023 for that dividend. But I would seek the advice of a accountant. I wouldn't take mine. But it'll be whatever is reported by your brokerage firm that the IRS will see. But remember, they didn't give you a price on that stock all year, so I'd be surprised if they can give it a value move. I'm 0 for 2 with the opening questions this morning. Well, what I understand with Vocal is that and I don't know, I'm not going to try to BS you because I don't know the specifics fluently. But I guess what he did was get rid of debt, convert debt. He's about to go positive in earnings. There was something like $70 million invested in his platform over time, and that has value. I understand he's going to make distributions, and I don't know why it wouldn't make sense to you um, that a stock can hit its ultimate low, and then with what steps that the CEO is taking, can start to rally upward. It's got a low float, and I guess it's going to have earnings. So those are positive changes at Vocal. It's on Yahoo Finance. All right, let me try Yahoo Finance. Oh, here, so I might have it printed out. So very kind. Thank you. Okay, so GTII announced today, communicated with 8 major brokerage firms through a registered letter. Yeah, there's the legal opinion, the blanket legal opinion, general information. That's good, actually. I like that they're doing that. I'm trying to think out if it will catch the system out. Announced today as a part of its objective to support its shareholders, communicated with 8 major brokerage firms in a registered letter in order to ensure that stock dividend issued on, last April is deposited in respective accounts. GTII wishes to inform shareholders that if they wish to deposit their shares in advance, they should complete a stockholder representation letter. I don't know. I don't know. I have to plead. I don't know. I don't know if this is going to catch the system out. It's a year later. On or around April 29th. Let me think about it. I'm outlines the procedures to deposit their shares in advance. So if they don't have enough shares, I guess they go buy shares in the open market or they stall for more time. It's interesting. It's interesting. We'll find out. I mean, it's what else can they do, really, right? What else can you do? I'm gonna crap over GTI on now. Great. No, I wasn't actually doing that. And that Mad Gun is going to get you a timeout. I didn't ban you, but I timed you out. What is on the 1099? I haven't seen mine, so I don't know what's on there. I don't think they could give you a huge value on it because it wouldn't trade. But hey, Jenny L, how are you? Um, Holy soon. All right, let's see the Greg McCabe letter. Lamar, that we saw, didn't we, in his letter of 2 or 3 weeks ago? But is there a new one? Because that's amazing. He said multiples, and um, yeah, I don't remember. Um, I'm trying to connect it with what um, Richard said. Richard couldn't give more detail, but I think Richard had heard it's over 20 million in excess that they found. But I'm trying to connect uh, who Richard quoted, and I'm not sure he quoted anybody, so that might be not why I don't remember. Yeah, one single fund, amazing. Oh, sure. I think they're I had a tremendous night Saturday night with an old friend, very important guy. No, anyway, it was a nice dinner party, and one of the guys across the table for me, highly intelligent guy, set up a nonprofit to go after scams, and we started talking, and it's all the same issue, the FTC or the SEC, it's the same. No one cares. And that's my answer there. I think the SEC doesn't care. Tom, FINRA said more than they can't regulate outside of the United States. I don't have that letter in front of me, but they not only admit it's not only the shares outside of the United States, but it's also shares here, entities here in the United States who are not under their supervision. So it's a useless organization. FINRA is completely useless. It's there as a whipping boy or as a scapegoat so the SEC can avoid doing its job. They collect their money. They, as you saw in the email chain, they always defer to the SEC, and then they can rotate out with big jobs, but like Jessica Hopper did. But they're just, FINRA is just there to protect the criminals. And obviously everything I say on this, all these videos, is my own opinion and judgment. Well, there's no news on Logic, except the same old story, but no one wants to wait. Just to summarize it, there is a reverse merger candidate. The agreement either has been signed or is in the last stages in preparation for signature. That's been the case for several weeks. And the agreement may come out as either binding or non-binding. I don't know. It almost certainly, if it's announced, will have the caveat that an audit needs to be completed before a final signature. It's the same story, PS71. The reverse merger candidate is worth between 40 and 60 cents a share to Logic shareholders, but it's for some reason the sense of urgency to get this done either isn't there, or and what I think is much more likely is that the acquiring party has a lot of bookkeeping, legal work that took time. As you recall, PS71, Aubrey advisors, who I think either are incompetent or are corrupt. They've done over 100 of SPAC deals and de-SPAC deals. They gave completely horrible service to Logic and CAUD, Aubrey SPAC, whatever. And at the best, it was horrible service. At the worst, they were part of the sting operation. But in that environment, PS71, CAUD, just simple things like calling ahead with your high-powered attorneys, Aubrey advisors. They've done over 100 of these. They have high-powered Wall Street attorneys. Call into NASDAQ and say, you know what? We're de-SPACing on Monday, but on this Wednesday, we're going to have too few shareholders, but it's just a temporary event. So you don't need to halt trading at $38, and you don't have to issue a warning to us. But they didn't do that. Why didn't Aubrey advisors raise more than $5 million? I think they did it to trap CAUD and Logic and make money for their real client. They had a conflict. Was their client, who are they devoted to? Their one-off client, Logic, or their client Polar Investments that was there for 100 SPACs? Which one would you be loyal to? So anyway, why did they only raise $5 million when half of it went to the so-called financial advisors and the other half went to the attorneys? and it left CAUD with less than 100 grand in the D-SPAC. Why'd they do that? That to me is either incompetence or intentional. And then why didn't they lock up the roll-up deals for CAUD, the number of shares, sign it, binding before the D-SPAC? Why? Because Polar and the other clients of Polar want the anything good news to be done at a destroyed stock price and a destroyed denominator for a number of shares. But hey, Aubrey SPAC would know that, Aubrey Advisors. Well, anyway, in that milieu, Logic got destroyed in price. And Logic was meant by news announcements, PS 71. Logic was meant to immediately do a reverse merger. They didn't. I can't explain it. But also, we were supposed to be able to sell CAUD $12, $15, $20 a share. Instead, Aubrey Advisors, Polar, Shandong Advisors, and the lawyers were all in on a sting operation to steal $100 to $150 million out of the market cap of CAUD. And it's an ongoing sting operation. It does not end. And that kind of momentum came over in Logic. Now, I'm really impressed on the positive side. I'm really impressed with Peter Boards, his new team. I think he understands the situation he's in. I think there's going to be good news on CAUD, which you own as a result of owning Logic. And it could come this week or next week, whereby they are going to make one of the first roll-up acquisitions of a company that has cash, has revenues into CAUD. And I think that'll be a precursor to several acquisitions. The job that Peter Boards has is to get that done with as minimal dilution, which Aubrey Advisors set the company up to receive, and Chandron Advisors and their lawyers, and Adina Friedman couldn't care less. So Peter Boards has a very difficult job to do. Convince these 3 or 4 companies to come in on a good deal for themselves, but also for us as shareholders. That's CAUD. On Logic, I expect that the reverse merger is going to get done before the end of March. I'm hoping it's this week, but it just seems to go on and on. I believe that there are legitimate shorts. There are shorts that came into Logic who followed the rules for some reason. No need to. But I think there are some that actually borrowed stock at 30 cents, 25 cents, 20 cents, 15 cents, 10 cents. And they said, you know what? Logic is distributing its entire earnings, its entire revenues to first Aubrey SPAC and then it's CAUD. Why not just short it? It's not worth anything. And so these groups of day traders, cocky people, they just sell everything. So there's an aspect in Logic that are real short sellers. Well, they have made money if they've covered. Personally, I see little evidence of covering. If you talk to the gentleman from Amex, he'll say you can't see the covering. It happens every day. Algorithmic trading, they've covered. I don't believe it. I think there's pent-up demand for real shorts, legal shorts, to cover in Logic. I also think there was criminal selling in Logic, counterfeiting shares, and they may or may not believe they're going to have to cover when there's an announcement. So PS71, I expect an announcement that there is a reverse merger acquisition of Logic Shell. I expect that we as Logic shareholders will have between 10 and 15% of that shell. I believe that the valuation will be somewhere between 400 million and as high as $650 million. The risks are twofold. Is the valuation real? And I don't know how you prove it. We'll find out. And two, does the new co need to go to criminals to raise money, or do they already have money? If they need to go to Aubrey Advisors, we'll get screwed. And if the board, if the management can't see that, I can't control that. But I believe if the new co will have capital, will have revenues, and will have value. It will trade on the NASDAQ or the NYSE, which will be better. It'll be a $25, $30 stock after the reverse split, and the shorts will have a hard time attacking it. In that environment, PS71, does the stock go to 5 cents, or does it go to 50 cents, or does it go to $1? My guess is it goes to best, it goes 25 cents to 35 cents. The 60 to 80% odds is it trades up to 25 to 35 cents. Could it go to 75, 80, $1.25 in a short squeeze? Yes, but I put those odds at 5 to 15%. Could it only go, let's say, to 5 cents or 7 cents before the criminals start selling it off, and Aubrey SPAC and Polar and Chandron Advisors and their lawyers and everybody puts pressure? Sure, but I put those odds at that 5 to 15%. The meat, the fairway, whatever word you want to use, of where I think the stock's going to go on an announcement is somewhere between 15 and 35 cents. And that announcement could come this week. But I cannot explain to you why it's taken so long, PS71. Everything I hear, the deal is either been signed or at signature, and everything's good. It's worth 60 cents a share. But if you don't believe it, you don't believe it, and nobody believes it. And remember, all the criminals have to do, keep selling stock. It busts the balls of longs. It breaks the back of longs. It convinces CEOs they have to do deals with complete frauds like Aubrey Advisors, again, in my judgment and in my opinion, or incompetence like Aubrey Advisors. And so it just keeps the pressure is constant. Oh, we'll never get out of this. But PS71, I'm in it. I'm down. Because I bought more, my average price is 15 cents now, but I bought most of it before the distribution of CAUD. My frustration is as strong as yours, and I cannot explain, I cannot understand why the reverse merger has not occurred yet. Every feedback I have is it's going to happen. There was demand from many companies to get into the clean shell. But I guess my other answer to you could be there's no news yet. Jenny L. The weather's beautiful here. It's cold, a little nippy, but the birds are singing. It's bright. And I think the next thing, the tulips will start coming. Don't don't hang out in the rain where you are, Jenny. I worry about I worry about radiation. I agree with you, Jeff, on that one. But there's a view that um, it's algorithms keeping the price of CAUD down. And they come in, they sell, and then during the day they buy back. And FINRA only reports the initial ticket, that's a sell ticket, either as a short or an exemption under Reg Show. But FINRA doesn't report the same day buyback of those shares or delivery of those shares. I think that that point of view is so obtuse. It makes me, why? Because if that were true, the stock wouldn't be $1. It wouldn't be. It would still be $8, $9, $10. And yeah, there's no question algorithms are used and computers are used in the trading, but they're just counterfeiting shares. And they never go to prison. They get their wrists slapped. They don't pay taxes. No one cares, and they can suck hundreds of millions, hundreds of billions, even trillions of dollars out of the market. Why stop? And the only, if you want to call it discipline that they have to maintain, just keep selling stock that doesn't exist. And there's no way out unless a company busts the mold and accepts that what I'm saying is essentially true. Oh, you can't prove it. Well, could customs prove that Pablo Escobar and his minions delivered hundreds of millions of tons of cocaine into the United States? No, couldn't prove it. Yeah. All right. I would listen to Ace. Don, Ace knows what he's talking about. I don't on that. So listen to Ace. I did not see that short. I had a couple errands I had to run for a gold company that I'm involved in, and I can see your post, Ocean Sailing. I removed you from the um, netherworld the other day, and I moved two or three other people, but I found over 300 people in that spot, and I didn't put them there. I might have put 6 people there. Um, and I sort of asked as a general question, should I just let everybody out of jail and just start over again? I might do that. But I limited it mainly to you because of busy brands. I like the rain a lot. Um, I like the rain a lot. I like all things. I don't think it matters if Gary Gensler is the SEC chairman. It doesn't matter. We'll get Virginia countrywide, or we'll get someone as ineffectual as Adina Friedman. They'll put the next person will be a woman. She'll be promoted beyond her skill level, um, just to get a woman in there, or it'll be. And by the way, they did the exact same with Gensler. He's beyond his skill level too. So it's not strictly. I'm not trying to make a sexist comment. I'm just saying they're going to put somebody in there that does not have the uh, uh, backbone to fight them. Why? Because they want Adina makes 28 million a year. It's 26 million a year. Do you think she wants to fight Goldman Sachs? She's looking forward to retiring and being worth $250 million for doing what? She has a somewhat attractive smile. She's no genius. She has no integrity as far as I can tell as it relates to the individual investor and CEOs of struggling young companies and just small microcap companies. They're all there to represent Goldman Sachs Prime Brokerage. And I use that as a placeholder for the entirety of the elite bastards, greedy bastards on Wall Street. Leon Coopermans, Cohens, Griffins, Blacks, all of them. That's how they juice their returns. And somehow they think it's fair. And we keep voting on it because we don't want a misogynist in office, even though the one we have. Anyway, I don't want to get into politics. Look, I'm not going to talk about the dividend anymore. You have the information from Ace. I think it's irrelevant. I don't care about the dividend on GTII. I'm getting mine. I think it's disappointing. What my reaction is, this is disappointing, but I might be overreacting. But just go to it. I'm not going to talk about the dividend. I hope somebody that can't be bought arrives, like a Bobby Kennedy or a Tulsi Gabbard or a Byron Donaldson or I was hearing some good things about Amy Kolchabar, but I don't know if she's that way either. Let me go to the top and see what questions, because I'm only going to be able to go for another half an hour. There's no real news on ZJYL, but I did talk with someone who I believe understands what's going on. I don't think there's any negative with ZJYL. This chart I drew up the other day, the stock broke out of this channel or this, whatever you call that, a pennant. And on Thursday or Wednesday, it happened. And I said to myself, I think I said it live too. That's not good. If it keeps going sideways, that's technically breaking down. I didn't do anything about it, and sure enough, the stock went under $6 today. Let me see how far they could get that downward. Wow. I don't know. My answer is I don't quite know. I don't. Oh, there's a line. There's a line. There's a line. I don't know if it does anything. Oh, Lordy. I suppose they could have today driven it down to $4 if charts matter. But Augustine, what I don't think charts really matter in short squeezes, but they seem to work on behalf of the shorts because I think the shorts use computers. And as soon as they break certain technical factors, they pile on counterfeit selling to see if it'll break. But I don't think we've seen the fight from the longs yet, and I think it's coming. If I had to guess, Augustine, and none of this is new information, they being the good guys may be waiting for the distribution of that 500,000 shares pre-split. That would be what, 10 million shares post-split. That I think 500,000 times 20. I think it's 10 million shares post split. that they were getting delivered in physical form. That might be one of the reasons for the delay. But they're not going to ring a bell if and when a squeeze starts. Hey, John. How are you? Hey, Jeff. Yeah, it was somewhat relaxing. Yes and no. I was trying to get ready for this conference. Anyway, I have a conference call later, and I did a bunch. I was going to send out an email, and then I decided today I'm not going to send it out, and I'll look like an idiot because I didn't. Uh, well, I won't look like an idiot. I just won't look like a brain. We'll do it live. Yeah, I agree. The counterfeiters are out there. Um, uh, Lucky is very old, but we found a coffee shop that actually lets us in, and he's such a sweetheart with people and with other dogs now. He's just a sweetheart. But when he eats treats sometimes, but the hard treats, he bites and the treat pops out of his mouth. I think he must have teeth that hurt. But the vet told me to go in after his teeth. They'd have to put him under, put him anyway. He might die from it, so it's not. I don't know the answer. What to do? I don't know if I'll have to hear from Ham. Ham will tell me it's good news. Today's February, March, April, so it's 2 more months. I just don't think it'll catch the system out. That's just my opinion. So the next bridge letters are new, or they were the ones that we saw before? Let me see. I can go to their website, can I? Here, Jenny might have sent it to me. January 23rd. Yeah, I already saw this. We continue. That's awesome. Thank you, Jenny. That's awesome. That is a great letter. I already read that out on some live, but it's awesome. Yeah, we're going to go to one of the Koreas, and we're going to go to one of the Emirates maybe too, for a layover. So we'll find out. I don't control the schedule, but yeah, we're still planning it. So there must be a letter back from FINRA. I don't. For me, the letters that I just saw, we already went over, but we can go over them again. Let me go down here because I'm running out of time. Hey, Tom. There's KYP, pretty young thing. I don't know how to make KYP. KYP. I can't even think of anything quickly. Counterfeit shares everywhere. Security sold, not yet purchased equals RICO. Hey, pilot, stay away from the new Boeings. Tattoo you? I don't know that one. The one that has some potential apparently is TELO. TELO has potential to go. It's at $9. Let me see where it is. Let's see where all these closed. That closed at 9:05 or 9:06, and that has apparently potential to run. ZJYL is up slightly, 645. The one I would buy right now is ZJYL if you had if you had $600, buy 100 shares. I would still buy Logic, but I can't tell you when. I mean, it's got to trade higher than 2.5 cents. Does it go to 5 cents or 50 cents? That's the question. GDC closed at under $2. I would also buy that. I think it would run with ZJYL. Finger is anyway. The rest haven't really done anything. I think HNRC is bloody cheap, but nobody's going to listen to me probably. You can buy it. It looks like under 2 cents, and they haven't paid a dividend yet. So I guess they're never going to pay a dividend, but they said they would publicly. So is it cash or is it stock? I don't know. It should be cash, but the stock chart looks terrible. It makes me wonder if they did a toxic financing, but I would buy more of that because I think they are going to pay out a cash dividend. So they're going to send you a stock certificate for the GTII dividend from a master certificate. Well, what happens now is the companies get a list of shareholders. It used to be you could hold your shares in safekeeping at Fidelity. Fidelity doesn't let you do it. They say you have to hold it electronically. So what happens is GTII has somewhere a list of shareholders. They have each name. And for Fidelity, they just have it in street name. So it's 100 million shares at Fidelity. They don't have that Barbara L. owns 100,000 shares. They just show that Fidelity owns 100 million. So when they distribute, trying to catch everyone out, this physical shares, Fidelity just has one block. But it's contradictory in my mind because everything's electronic now. But anyway, I can make the argument that it's designed to catch out the shorts. And I've done it so many times. I can also make the argument that they're just lying to you, they're delaying, and they can make any kind of electronic transfer that they want, and it doesn't have to be this complicated. But I've given it some thought, Barbara, and to me, lawyers at Fidelity or lawyers at E-Trade, it doesn't change the fact that they can do it on a rolling basis. They're not doing it all at once. Because then you're going to take those dividends and you're going to put it back into your account via Liberty stock transfer. So it just continues the charade longer. But I think what they're doing is lawyers have told them, and this is just a guess on my part, issue the stock in physical form. Then in court, you can prove that you issued physical stock and you get rid of any liability in some sort of law, some sort of class action lawsuit. Castor oil. Oh, Junk Savvy is great. I don't care about the GTII dividend. I don't want to talk about the GTII dividend. So all the way, I'm skipping all of those. I don't want to talk about it. It's kind of how I feel about it. Yeah, those letters were out there already, but I love it that they're on X. I think I saw them before, but they're fantastic. Don't get me wrong; those are fantastic letters. Entire amount of shares outstanding, Lee. It's based on the entire amount of shares outstanding, issued and outstanding, not authorized. Would it give us a true count? If anyone cared about a true count, it might. But no, I don't think it'll give a true count. How do they prove that, Randy? And even if you have real shares, what are in Barbara L's account? What's in my account? Um, Down a lot on CJYL. After losing money in AMC, GTI, and Vocal, it cannot be. Then I don't think you should. I don't move. I don't think you should do it any longer. Nothing but a big disappointment and crushed dreams. Yeah, we've we all have to accept that dreams of short squeezes didn't occur. That's true, and it is a big disappointment. Um, I have never been a fan of AMC. You did have a chance to get out of AMC. I understand, but I also know it's extremely difficult to sell when a stock's going up. GTII, you had a chance to get out. I did too. I didn't at the high numbers. And CRTD, we had a chance to get out. I didn't. And the CEO made the decision to not merge, and we saw what happened on ZJYL. You're down a lot. Here's your choice, Moo. Buy more, sell it, or sell part, or just wait. So that's your choice. Otherwise, I think, Moo, you should look for stocks from now on which are not illiquid, are not on the over-the-counter markets or NASDAQ, and you should try to make some predictive views on big stocks and just get out of this altogether. Because I can't promise you your dreams won't be crushed and you won't have big disappointments in any of these shares. You know what goes on, and trying to fight it is difficult. So I can't give you financial advice, but I think, Moo, sell everything. I'll give you one idea. Sell everything. Turn off the computers, stop watching here, follow baseball, plant a garden, but put the money that's left in physical silver and don't sell it until it hits $200 or $300 or even much more than that per ounce. But it's manipulated too. That's possibly true. That if MMTLP does not get resolved, no stock will ever squeeze. That's possibly true. I don't know what you mean by resolved. I strongly recommend that each of us can resolve our own situation in MMTLP by transferring our shares to American Stock Transfer and receiving physical shares of NextBridge. So we have it in our power until they run out of stock to resolve our own personal situation. And I think these shares are valuable. In terms of settlements, it either is going to be legal, and I don't know how long a legal resolution will take. I think it will take years. The other resolution is within the financial system. I don't know how long that'll take, but my guess is because of all the hard work of people like Anna, Busy, everybody here, Fizz and Junk Savvy and 100 and tons of people, that the pressure brought to the financial system from Congress could trigger the desire on the financial system to resolve it without letting people know that this criminality occurs. And that's a ticking time clock. The other ticking time clock are a couple of things. Further progress at Oro Grande, which has been tremendous years to date, and higher oil prices. An engineering report that shows a high value per share might trigger the financial system to resolve it. But I don't know what resolution you're looking for. If you're looking for people to be taken away in handcuffs, highly unlikely. If you're looking for proof that is going to appear on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, that 500 million shares were counterfeited in Torchlight and MMAT and then rolled into MMTLP, I think it's really unlikely. It's possible. It's possible because of everybody's hard work, but I think it's really unlikely. Why? Because resolution is a settlement. And with the legal system, the legal system, the settlement will be some version of, we did nothing wrong, you did nothing wrong, and we agree not to disclose anything. On the financial side, the brokerage firm side, the lawyers are going to say, you cannot settle this unless you get a release that says you did nothing wrong and we'll never disclose the nature of the problem. So people are going to be faced with, do I take $800 a share? I'm making up a number. Or do I hold out so I can send these people to prison? And it'll never get to that point, in my opinion. I would love it. I would love it too, but I'm not sure it'll ever get there. That's great. I'm not going to read it out, Chris, but that's great. I agree with that, Vin. I've only got about 15 minutes left, so I'm not going to read everything. I don't know how to use TurboTax, Mugu. I don't know how to use TurboTax. Yeah, Lafty, I think everything's in place for ZJYL. I think this chart broke down. And it's really funny how these kind of technical indicators seem to work to the downside for sure. To the upside, they never seem to have the same power. Why? We can only buy every dollar we have, we can only spend it once. The criminals, every stock that share of stock, they can sell it multiple times, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. And these cowards that come on supporting the system as it is, I don't have a lot of respect for them. Hey, Randy. My broker says $100 to unrestrict and they must be sold. No, I I'm not totally against the $100, although I would argue um, I shouldn't have to pay this. You received the letter last year, the blanket letter last year, and this is, the what's it called? The restriction was lifted after 6 months. I shouldn't have to pay anything. I would make that argument. But maybe they're just charging the FedEx one way and the FedEx the other way. But they can't make you sell them. They can't make you sell them. Let me check to make sure that RCRT press release is the one I read on Friday. But if it's different, I've got to read a new press release. Let me see what it is. Okay, we're a pivotal moment. License agreement. Yeah, that was all. That was all disclosed on either Thursday or Friday last week at the SEC site. Um, and my opinion is, I think it's great news for RCRT. I think it's great news. That's my opinion. Well, that's a good point. If you haven't received the value, how can you? That's a good point. I have all four sacks. They will not squeeze. They well, um, and I think it's perfectly reasonable not to put any more money in. Um, they do have control, but the weird thing about life is bullies have control until they don't. You know, so we never know when it breaks. There's a lot of smart people, a lot of dedicated people trying to stop stop the slaughter. Um, I need to read the press release. I think the original plan for the dividend is still in play. Yeah, Marty, I think it's great, but what I worry about it's 60 days. It gives them a lot of time to do something. And what's the penalty if they don't have it in our accounts at the end of April? I don't know. Look, it's better, Marty. I mean, it's pretty darn good they're doing it. And what else can they do? Yeah, exactly, Scott. Well, that may be, Marty. That may be, and we'll see. We will see. And by the way, my opinions, I'm not saying that I'm going to be 100% correct. I I think ZJYL is still in play, whatever that means. And I think you'll see strength in ZJYL after the whale receives his pre-split 500 or 700,000 shares. That was requested weeks ago. So I think any week now you'll see upward movement out of the blue in ZJYL. If you're in it, the stock broke down and now it's trying to rally back up. This becomes resistance, and it may be under pressure for a few days, but your choice is sell it because you think it's going to go to 4 or to 2 or to under $1. Sell part of it, or just hold it, or buy more. And in that sense, I can't give you personal advice, but I would buy more. You'll probably overpay. As soon as you buy it, it'll go down. But I would average down because I very much think that 200 million shares rumored short, the entire float owned by one group of guys, the rest of the stock owned by insiders, they can't trade it, and they're asking for restricted shares back, and it's a forward split putting it's the same story. Nothing's changed. Yeah, I do get frustrated. I'm sorry about that. I get off and I'm like, darn it, I don't want to be frustrated. Lamar, I agree. It was either one fund or one brokerage firm, but you're exactly right. And imagine what that means elsewhere. I agree with you. Yeah, Marty, I agree with that assessment that you're making. What I'm not sure is how giving them 60 days causes a squeeze, but we'll find out. Hey, you got to try something. You got to try something. Um, I know I agree with that. Um, I don't know. I know Blue is someone on Twitch and YouTube that does videos, but I don't know anything about the stock. They have already issued the dividend, and they are trying to put on pressure. FINRA released a letter agreeing to sit down and discuss. That's big news. So, Lamar, I'll have to talk about that in a different time life video because I'm running out of time. I gotta hang up in 4 minutes. Let me go down these quickly. Soon and for the rest of my life. Judge's decision on Alpine, early April. They'll delay it again, but that's great. Breathe deep, the gathering doom. Watch lights fade from across the room. Um, It wasn't. I don't know who did it. I'm sorry, Ocean. I didn't do it. All I can say is I didn't do it. I did not do it. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Luzinski. Not legal advice. Always in with good info. Dividend action notice today was caused by something outside of GTII. I wonder what that would be. Maybe a lawsuit. Maybe a lawsuit from not legal advice at Fidelity. Could be. I'm glad you made money trading. And that's what we all have to learn. That other person who was disappointed, as am I. I look back on the last 2 years. Every time a stock ran up, we should have sold. Now, it's the hardest thing to do. But then the other thing I noticed, every time stocks are running up, they're running up less on a percentage basis. And if we had just constantly took quick profits and waited for the stocks to come down, we'd be happy right now. But it's easy to say in retrospect. But that's the fact of the matter, It is the fact of the matter. Okay, so my reaction about the dividend is wrong. Guys, I would listen to ACE and I would listen to not legal advice. I would not listen because this sprung on me. I didn't have time to think it through and I don't have all the input. So I really would listen to not legal advice and to ACE. And not legal advice can't discuss it. So he I'll guess that he might have made progress in his lawsuit against Fidelity, but that's just a guess on my part. Hey, Billy Ray. Do I get a cut of super chaps? Time to pump MMTLP. I haven't. AC Hunter. Earnings after the close. I don't know if earnings are going to move at Ocean, but it might. I don't think they're waiting for earnings, though. Lucky is a good boy. Lucky is all right. I got 10 minutes. I'll give it 3 more minutes and then I got to go. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to see if I can do my settings to get this speaker to work. Settings. All right, let's
Battery
see.
60%. Connected to
Okay, got it.
iPhone.
Yeah, that's you shouldn't sell them. Well, I mean, do whatever you want, but you shouldn't have to sell them. T-Low hits a new low. T-Low, is it me you're looking for? Thank you, Cliff. I don't know what's going on with HNRC so low, but do I think ZJ will? Yeah, I think it'll be first. But it's a guess. It's a guess. Thanks, Joe Eben. Thank you for the link, Jenny L. What happened about the concentrated short position at Lynn? It's either Lynn or their clients, but I think it's still there. All right, I gotta hang up basically in 1 minute. Uh, um, all right, I agree with legal reaction is misplaced. Okay, my reaction's wrong, but unfortunately, legal can't talk about it. I mean, not legal can't talk about it, but all right, I accept that my reaction's wrong. I accept it. Thank you, Jenny L. And oh, okay. Yeah, I'll do that. The call I'm on here shortly is regarding that company. All right, everyone. I'm going to sign off and wish everyone well, and uh, and remind you to listen to ACE and not legal advice on the GTII dividend. And thank you for tuning in. We'll get back together soon. Cheers.